Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone tonight? I am so excited. We have one of my most favorite people in the whole wide world. And it's not one of my children, it's not my husband, and it's not my mama. So she's still family to me. Her name is Rachel Snipes, and she means so much to me, y'all. She's tired of hearing this story, but I'm just ready for her. We're bringing awareness about mental health tonight, and I'm just so excited. Some few house tips, whatever, what you call them things. Um, yeah, the house tips, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, like where the bathroom located is over there, all that. So if you are new to StreamYard, you have to give them access to see your comments if you would like to make a comment. So if you do, please join in on this discussion because we are just going to be two therapists having a conversation. So I am so excited. If y'all have questions for us, don't give us no hard questions. But if y'all got some questions, put it out there and put it on there. Don't be shy. Y'all are a part of this conversation too. And so I'm just so happy to have my friend Rachel Snipes. So I'm going to bring her on right now. Hey, girl. Hey.
What's up?
You're so cute, ain't she, y'all? Okay. The people I forgot to tell you, Rachel, if you want to see the comments, I think it's over on the side somewhere. That way if
Mm-hmm.
somebody asks a question, you can click it so that you can see the comments or questions if they come up too.
Okay.
Okay. Right now I just want to say hey to a couple people that popped on. They be fighting for first logging on. These are regular people that be here every week. They don't miss a show. Um, is Michelle. She was one of my first guests, and Ryan, my lovely soon-to-be daughter-in-law, one day. And my mom is so excited because she just texted me. She got me on the TV, so she's looking at us on the TV. So hey, mama, she's on YouTube. So, and Anthony's on. So I think we could get started because my main people is on. They here every
Ah.
week. They don't miss a show. So let me go back and oh yeah, I need to tell y'all if you are gonna catch the replay, hey to you too. Because if you're not live, because I know a lot of people do come back and watch the replay. So thank you all for your support. But y'all might have to stop us tonight because Rachel is my friend, my sister, my colleague. She is like so much to me, y'all. She pumps me up. So y'all might have to tell us like when I start seeing the numbers dropping that y'all getting off, then I know it's time for us to get off. Because I could talk to her. We haven't physically seen each other in about 2 weeks, huh?
Oh, right. Well, just because we did a drop off, but before that, it had probably
Yeah,
been
like a month.
probably a couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah. We try to eat every now and then, because we used to work together. So let me go into my background story, like I always do, about how I know this beautiful woman. She's so cute. Look, I told her, I said, I'm going to show my shoulders too.
just, just hot. Just hot.
It is hot. It's hot as hell. But so I met Rachel, and this is for real a divine connection, y'all. I was in my internship program, and they said you got to find your own place to do your internship. And I kept looking and kept looking. And at the time, she worked at, I don't know if I can say, can I say what the place is?
Yeah, I
Oh,
guess so.
okay. She worked at the Family Center. And that's here a local community place, which is an excellent place to get services, by the way, y'all. But she worked there as at that time, I think you had just become the director because when I first looked on there, she was not the program director. It was another person. It was Mr. Dr. Rick Long. He was the program director. And
So
so I
I
was
would have been the clinical supervisor, I think, at that time.
right. You were the clinical supervisor. So I was like, I found their website and I was like, oh, I like the way this lady look. I'm going to go there. And she wasn't even she was a clinical supervisor. But so I don't know if she would have had anything to do with me at all. But I was just like, I'm going to go there because she went to the school that I was going to. She looked like me, not like, I mean, because
Black
I'm
and
fine.
brown.
Like I'm fine. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, I hadn't seen you like she was put together, y'all. You see how she looked, right? So on the web page, she looked the same kind of way. Like she looked professional. And I had not really seen very many professional black and brown folks doing therapy. And then she was a clinical supervisor too. So I was like, oh my gosh, these are goals. So I was like, I want to be just like her when I finish doing, I don't know who she is, but I want to be like this person. So my picture could be on somebody's web page too, like that. So anyway, I when it was time for me to do my internship, I emailed there and she was the program director. So I was like, oh yes, I'm getting in this thing. This lady told me, uh, ma'am, we don't have any slots available. If you want to come back in August, you can. I'm like, it's January. August is like, I'm trying to be graduating. So it was a popular spot, it was a popular place to go because you get so much over there. So I didn't get in, y'all. I was hurt. My feelings was hurt. But the place I
What?
did, yes, but God, there was the place that I did go to, unbeknownst to me, they partnered with them. So I
Mhm.
still got to work with Rachel. And then eventually, long story short, eventually I kept in contact with her and I needed supervision because now I was getting my license. So, um, I said, hey, I need some help. And she was like, okay, I got you. And so here we are. We became, like, I think, well, we had to wait like 2 years before we can be friends. So we passed that now. So, we gotta abide by ethics out here. So here we are. We're friends, we're colleagues now. I just really adore her and look up to her because she taught me so much, especially about ethics. Like if you want to be an ethical therapist, find Rachel to be your supervisor because she ain't gonna let you do nothing wrong. Nothing. You ain't going to court. And if you do go to court, you're gonna know how to charge the folks and they ain't getting nothing. So, but yes, I love her and adore her so much. And thank you, Rachel, for coming on to kick off Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mental health awareness. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all the compliments. You know I love your work, everything you do, and I love you and your family. So I'm glad to be here.
Yes. And I was wearing green because I was like trying to be mental health
Mental
awareness.
health awareness.
Yes.
Mhm.
So let's get started. Since there's some few people on now, I want you to know that please ask your questions if you have some questions. Please, 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 because not everybody gets an opportunity to talk to a real life therapist and ask a real life question because, you just don't go because you just are scared or for whatever reason. But you got two live therapists. Now, I must say, hello, cousin Maggie, but I must say that um look, Rachel told me to give a disclaimer. In no way are the views that are presented represent Lit Wellness Center, which is my private practice, or Lit Podcast. Okay, so whatever come out of Rachel's mouth
Just Rachel.
is just Rachel. So, and that's why I love this. This is a conversation between two therapists because sometimes we are just on all the time, so we don't get to really shut off. So y'all get to see that we really crazy too. It take one to help one. That's what I say.
Everybody got a story.
Everybody got a story.
Yep.
So, hey Raven, that's Rachel's sister, y'all. Thank you for all the baby clothes and stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's why we was doing a drop off a couple weeks ago. But let's get started, girl. Let's get started because I just be so happy to see you.
I know.
Um,
I know.
but I'm supposed to be doing some work. So I'm gonna ask you. Let's kick it off with. I want to ask you, why do you think mental health is important?
I mental for me, mental health is how we think, how we feel, how we socialize, how we engage. And so that's something we're doing every day, whether you want to acknowledge that you're doing it or not, is happening. So oftentimes we may not be as intentional about some of that. And I think sometimes it's important for us to be intentional because that influences a lot. If it gets off, then it affects how you are every single day, how you engage with people, how you work. So we need to know when we're off, if we can catch it when we're getting off, so we learn the signs for us. And everybody's stuff is different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So how your triggers show up for you is different for somebody else. But we need to know that so we can intervene early to keep from having major, bigger problems.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. She froze, y'all. Am I froze? AT&T. Y'all, come on. Come on, AT&T. Come through. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Bigger problems.
Okay. Oh, you
Um,
back. You was froze, Rachel.
okay.
Okay, you back. I took you off and put you back on. I'm sorry. I hope it's I don't know if it's me, but we got AT&T over here and we live in the country in Alabama.
And you know I need direction with technology.
Yes.
Um,
Um but thank you for sharing that. Like, because I know I had posted, I'm gonna go back real quick and look at these statistics. I had said earlier on the post that 19.86% of adults are experiencing a mental illness. So that's equivalent to nearly 50 million Americans, y'all. And I didn't say this, but 4.91% are experiencing a severe mental illness. So that's crazy. Like,
and
and
I
that's
wonder
go
if it's
ahead.
underreported.
And I was gonna say that because I said before, if you've seen it, that I don't really like statistics, but they kind of give you a mindset of what you're dealing with because
Mm-hmm.
they're under it's statistics are just who reported. That's all we know that's reported. So it could be even more than that, right?
Right.
Um, let
And
me
that
see.
that kind of leads us to why it's important for us to have these conversations, particularly for our communities, for Black and Brown people. There's so much stigma in general. There's stigma, but particularly for our communities, for our cultures, and so we deal with stuff differently, and so we may not be reporting these issues, or we're reporting them as something else.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Because sometimes, you know, um, people just have like okay, for instance, like there's substance abuse, right? So we'll hear about people how much drugs people are on, but when you really think about it, most people that have substance use disorders are because they're trying to self-medicate.
Yep.
And so that just drives me nuts because so we're not really dealing with the real problem. We're dealing with the substance abuse, but they still have this the mental illness that's there. And until you can fix the core problem, it's not even it doesn't even matter. And for us, like you were saying, in the Black and brown communities, and it's not common for us to go, which is gonna
Right.
probably lead us into this next part of this is where I was like, this hot, this gonna be hot. Because why don't we go? What you think? What's your opinion? Why we don't
we
go?
are we are sometimes taught, sometimes it's conditioning or socialized to keep stuff private. Your business is your business. What happens at home stays at home. And really, there's a sense of embarrassment and shame to it as well. So I mean, if we think about how, at least for me, and I'm probably for you too, how we grew up and how people talked about people that had mental health issues. You didn't
Mhm.
want to be like that. So it was like a shameful kind of thing. And we didn't talk about what might have really been going on with that person. So that then people continue that.
Mhm.
So that's what you get growing up, and you continue that until you come into hopefully some new and different information, and then begin to apply that. But I think that's a big part of it. Is there's shame with it, there's embarrassment, and sometimes the resources, and we can talk about this all day too. Sometimes the resources to get help is not available,
I'm
or
glad you
it's very hard.
I'm glad you said that because I was looking. So the place that I got the statistics that I was talking about is from Mental Health America, right? And it's for 2022. And I wanted, I just wanted some of the people that's on, I can see where I know where some of them are from. So it says states that are ranked 1 to 10 have a lower prevalence of mental illness and higher rates of access to care for adults. And then I'm going to tell you some of them. And then states that are ranked 39 to 51 indicate that adults have higher prevalence of mental illness and lower rates to access of care. So what you're talking about is exactly this. So, like New Jersey, they're ranked number one, right? So they have a lower prevalence of mental illness, but they have higher rates of access to care. So there's access to care everywhere in New Jersey compared to, let's see, the Colorado. Colorado is 51. So they're saying that Colorado has a higher mental illness rates, but then they don't have really the resources available either. So I see some of the people that's on. I'm gonna look. So in Alabama here, we're at number 47. Lord Jesus, help us. So Alaska got better access to resource than we do because they number 46. Utah is number 48. I see Ryan, and I know she has family. They're from Utah, so they're number 48. So there's not as much access to care there, but there's a high mental illness rate. Let's see. Where
And
is
that speaks to treatment, because if I can get treatment for the things that's happening to me, I'm less likely to have episodes. It decreases any kind of mental health episodes, and so then your community, people are healthier.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get access to resources, whatever that may be, that's needed depending on the issue, and you learn how to manage, and so then management becomes part of your how you live,
Right.
just
It's
like any other health condition that we have. If you have a heart condition, if you are diabetic, if you have high blood pressure, you learn to manage those things to keep you from getting sick. Same thing happens with mental health. We
mhm.
need to start viewing that as a health issue and stop, differentiate making, and it is different, but it's a health issue nonetheless. So why do we make such a distinction between mental health and heart disease? It's still health.
Yes, it's still help. People don't get that. So I have so my mama said, "What
I
about
see somebody
Texas?"
asked about text. Okay, yeah.
So Texas is number 33. So they're kind of in the middle. There's just about access and they have a decent amount of people that have it, but there's still about equivalent access to care. So Texas is 33. So far
What is it?
Georgia
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Georgia's 31. So they right there in the middle too.
I was going to say it'd be interesting to know, even though the resources are there, can the people get to it?
In Texas probably not because
I mean, I think thinking about in Georgia,
yeah.
where you know there may be the counties between Columbus and Macon.
That's what I was thinking about for like in Texas. Or maybe even I don't know what is I never been to Utah, but maybe the same for there too. But I know my cousin, um, she texted me one day and she's in Texas and she was like, "Hey, Juana, do you know how I can get in touch with a couples therapist?" And I was like, yeah, just like Google, you in Texas, girl, like Google it. Well, now I know. She told me, so she lives in Waco, Texas. She said she would have had to go all the way to Austin to find someone that, like, because a lot of times we want to go to therapy with somebody that looks like us. So I mean, my family, they black, so most of them. So she wanted to go to somebody that could understand what it's like to be in a black family, because sometimes you can go somewhere and you can be hurt, which is sad, by the therapist because they don't know, they're not competent about cultural differences. But she said she would have had to drive all the way to Austin. That's like an hour away
Mm-hmm.
just to get therapy. So I
Hmm.
can't imagine. And those are big cities where they live. So
And
just
we forget everybody don't have reliable transportation.
right,
Everybody don't have, and so then people want to jump to telehealth. Okay, everybody don't have internet. Everybody don't have unlimited data on their phones. So how do we get services to those areas too?
right.
And it's a problem. And I was looking at some of the comments um, where one person said there's nothing available without waiting for like 3 months, and that's unfortunate, but it is absolutely true. We've seen there's still a stigma, but every day we people like us, we're fighting that stigma. So people are more and more becoming comfortable with reaching out to getting help. However, there is still limited resources because it's not a lot of clinicians compared to the number of people that are saying, "Okay, I
Mhm.
want to get that support." And
Yeah,
so you're finding that the community agencies, even your private practice clinicians, are having to have wait lists.
yeah. And
Mhm.
to answer your question, Demond, Kentucky is ranked number 13. So they have a lower prevalence compared to some of the other states that we've talked about. And they also have a higher rate of access. So there's, they can get to the resources. The resources are available for them rather. And so Tiffany, like with your question, where you were, or not a question, but your comment, it's because you're in Utah, girl. Utah is bad. It's
Wow.
number 48. So yeah, and you see how you're saying like people need it, but there's no resources. So I just would go ahead, Rachel. What you gonna
No, I
say?
was I was reading a couple of other comments because this go a little fast on my end. I don't know how it show up for you. um, does access to care mean government help or assistance, or are you referring to therapists? I'm just referring to therapists. I'm not necessarily talking about government assistance or help. Um, just finding what you need, and
Mm-hmm.
whether we're talking mental health or medical health, being able to get to what you need is what that's the way I'm referring to access to help. And then I saw one more that kind of got by.
I know Ryan had a question or a comment. She was saying, I
That's
know
the
that the health thing could be off with my question, but I'm trying to quit smoking because I have been trying for so long and I'm not sure the best way to start. Um, well, there's, a, I mean, well, if from a therapeutic perspective, what got you started? So I mean, it is, smoking can be an addiction. And so with some addictions, you need a little bit more assistance than just some talk therapy. You know, it takes a little bit, especially like a nicotine addiction. But I don't know what you're smoking, girl. What you're smoking first.
Mhm.
but
And I
but
wonder too, is it being used as like a way to manage stress? You
that's
know, and so in that case, you have to try to find other ways to manage the stress, or if there's other issues going on.
hmm. And if you take away something, typically you have to replace it with something. So I know my mom, she quit smoking one day, and I don't even know why she smoked. Like for real, that her and my dad smoked my whole life, and I think they just like So my dad passed away, but my mom, she kept my kids, and it used to drive me crazy because I was like, man, they stuff smell like smoke, and I'm real sensitive to smoke because it also triggers my migraines, right? But girl, one day I was like talking to my mom, and she was like, "Girl, I quit smoking." I was like, "For real?" I'm so excited. Now, this was her motivation, y'all. She said, I went to go buy a carton of cigarettes and it was like $50 or something. It was like high. So she was like, that ain't in my budget. And she just quit smoking. So, I mean, I don't even think she was really smoking. It was like the cigarette just be burning. But, so some people can just quit cold turkey, but also, there's a reason. So to me, I'm thinking that maybe my mama just smoked because my dad was smoking and she just was used to smoking with him, you know, because it was easy for her to just stop. So, like Rachel said, what's the reason? Are you doing it because of stress? Um,
So
is it
she responded and said she started to help with eating.
ah? So see, then that's where you need to get to that core issue of the eating is the real issue. So you replaced it with smoking, in a sense. It sounds like.
Um, that made me think too. One of the ways we can kind of um, fight the stigma is to talk about being healthy. Just let's just talk about what being healthy means, and that includes our mental and emotional health, but it also includes addressing stuff that comes up in life. We have to learn how to properly manage all those things because it's going to happen. Stuff is going to happen, so we have to be in a good space to properly manage the stuff that comes up. And
Mhm.
so that her comment about that made me think about that. We have to get to a point where we get ready to be healthy in every area of our life. It takes work, no doubt. It takes work.
It takes
Um, and
work.
I'm by no means trying to imply that I am healthy. I'm not. But I think if we strive to be healthy in all areas, that could help too.
Yeah. And it's okay. Like that's what I think. Sometimes people, and I talked about this last week about the cognitive distortion. So it's like
Mm.
and because you put the thing about smoking, this is a great example. So it's like you might try to quit and then you quit for a week and then you have one cigarette. It doesn't mean the world is over, or not a cigarette, whatever it is that you're smoking, right? It doesn't mean that it's over. It doesn't mean that, oh well, just forget it. I'll just keep on smoking now, might as well. You can restart the stop. Just start back whatever you were doing. And it doesn't have to be the end all be all. So just yeah. Um
I think you're right. We do that sometimes where we make a mistake and then we just well forget it then. I might as well keep this is not gonna work, this ain't gonna work. I might as well keep doing what I'm doing. It's never too late to start. So
mhm.
then it's never too late to start again.
Yes, exactly. And I see Ryan, you might could try those if it's nicotine, you could try nicotine patches or nicotine gums. There's different things. Sometimes if you have access to a provider like a
Even your
regular,
primary care doctor,
yeah,
yeah.
your primary care. I was like, what do people call a primary care doctor? They can prescribe you some stuff, or they can give you some, like they have smoking cessation groups or just different things like that. But your primary care doctor could be the first place you go to.
Does SAMHSA have a program
I
like
don't know.
online?
I don't know. Well, Brian, I can look into it and help you, give you some extra resources, okay? So, and thank you so much for being vulnerable and open and transparent with that, because you could have just kept it to yourself.
Yes.
So, and I can give you some more information later on, okay? I wanted to say, I thought I seen something else. Oh yeah, Tiffany, you said something about, you said it's so sad because the suicide rate is so high due to the help I and you're right. Sometimes people don't have the access to the care, so they just be like, you know what? Ain't nobody gonna help me. Ain't no help out there. I can't get to the help. I can't do it by myself. So just forget it. And they think that suicide is the only option they have left, because it's not, um the help is not available like you're saying. And I think, um Rachel, if you want to address anything, I can look at this statistic because it has something about the suicide rate by state as well, so I'm gonna check it real quick.
Uh, it's heavy. Suicide is a heavy subject, um, and I think part of we have to do better with talking about stuff, because if we can do better with communicating and letting people know it's okay and that we're willing to listen, then maybe they will talk about what's going on with them, and then we have an opportunity to intervene. A lot of times we just hold stuff in, whether that is our uh, tradition, whether it's our culture, whether it's our upbringing, whether it's our background, but we hold stuff in. We have all these messages: be strong, you can do it, push through, and it's a lot. It's a lot that can happen, and we need to utilize our supports.
Mm,
So I always encourage people, and sometimes we expect support to come from particular places, and when it doesn't, we are devastatingly disappointed. But I
yes,
would encourage you to think outside the box and reach out to somebody else. If that person disappointed you or let you down because they wasn't accessible or they wasn't available, let's find one more person because it's one more person.
it's
So let's
always.
find one more. Let's find one more.
Well, this is scary. So I found it. It says the percentage of adults reporting serious thoughts of suicide is 4.58%. The estimated number of adults with serious suicidal thoughts is over 11.4 million. And that's an increase of 664,000 people from last year, just from last year. And it says the national rate of adults experiencing suicidal ideation has increased every year since 2011 and 12. And then now, this, Tiffany, you were so right. It says the state prevalence of adults with serious thoughts of suicide ranges from 3.79, which is in New Jersey, to Utah, which is 6.19. So the lowest is New Jersey, and the highest rate of adults with serious thoughts of suicide is in Utah. And this is going by their population. So, you know, in comparison to the population. So, like, their number of people that report is might be low, but in comparison to the number of people that live there, the state population, what that is high.
It,
Alaska is right behind them with 6.11, and then Ohio, which is 6.09. But Texas, okay, so Georgia is number 2 that's listed here, um with a 3.85 percentage. Texas has a 3.86%. Georgia and Texas be fighting for stuff like,
and this is for adults, right?
yes, this is just adults. So we ain't even talk about the kids. Let me see. I think let me find. Florida is 4.04. My mother-in-law lives there. Let's see. Kentucky is 4.68. It's number 20 um out of the national rankings. So Alabama is number 29. So it's a lot of people. That's sad because there was a little girl in my neighborhood that killed herself, and it was so scary because we heard the gunshot, at night. Yeah. I didn't mean to trigger anybody, but it's you would have never thought it because, my son went to school with her, and um she was a very prominent young lady at the school, very popular, doing a lot for the community and things like that from my understanding. So yeah, it's sad. Um they don't
I
have I'm
Go ahead.
looking to see if they had anything for the children, but Mental Health America is not putting anything for children and teens.
And it might
But
be in another
yeah, in a different thing,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you can
yeah.
look it up if y'all want to. Just Google it. I mean,
Yeah.
and just check the reference. Mental Health America, NAMI, those are good places to find statistics, not just like um PookieNam.com. Don't do that. But yeah, if you go to you could just Google if you want to find but I do know that the rate of young adults and children are getting higher and higher. I remember, y'all, this is horrible, but when I did work at the family center, because it was a nonprofit organization, um, and Rachel, you may remember this too. We would always have to do suicide assessments on kids. Like, it was like, I mean, maybe if it was like once a month, but still, to me, that was high. Just because
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, why are you 12 years old thinking you want to kill yourself? Like, or sometimes the child would write a note and drop it in the trash can. The teacher would see it or something like that. And this, and then the sad part is, y'all, this is so sad. The kids, their parents would bring them in, right? And it's just like, here, they giving you this paper. My baby need this so he can go back to school, or so she can go back to school. And it's like, ma'am, I'm not just gonna sign this, and then your child really got these issues because they need therapy. Your child got something going on, and they just want you to sign the paper, and they ain't worried about it, you know. But to me, that's, you got a problem too, parent, you know. But again, we don't deal, you know, we don't talk about those things, you know.
It's
It's like,
hard.
yeah, it's kind of
We
like,
we have to we have to do a lot of work with building trust and establishing trust. And somebody made a comment about that. You need to talk to people that you trust, and that's very true. Um, I would also say if you find it hard to trust, let's go to trained. Can we find somebody who's trained to do this?
that part.
And so I mean, because I get it. It's hard to talk about this kind of stuff. It's very personal, and despite how we can say we ain't worried about what other people think, we worry about what other people think. So nobody wants to feel judged. And so I get it. It might be hard to go to somebody you know or somebody that knows you. So then can we go to trained? But even if you get a trained person that you don't connect with, please don't give up. Find another trained person
Yes.
and get with them. And if that one doesn't work, find another trained person and get with them. And I do understand that finding a trained person can be hard. That's what we were talking about earlier, that having access to services. That sometimes even just finding that person can be hard, because if I live in a rural area, I don't have reliable transportation to get me to an hour away. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
That is a challenge. But there's let's exhaust every option.
Hmm.
Let's exhaust every option, and I believe we can come up with something.
I think so too. I be telling some of my clients, I'm like, I tell them from day one, if you don't like me, you don't feel comfortable, please tell me. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I will
I will
pass
find
you
you
on.
somebody who, yes, I will.
Because I'm like this. I'll go to an ATM, and if that thing say $4-5 to get my money out, I'm gonna keep on going to the next one. So you can do us just like you do the ATM. Find that one that say 250, 150 if you if you need to. I mean, I know that's probably a horrible analogy, but I mean, if you shop around for a bargain, or you shop around for other things that will suit you and that help you feel comfortable with whatever it is, shop around for your therapist.
I
And
agree with that, but I also want to encourage us to be open minded.
yeah.
If we go into the process thinking it won't work, nobody can help me, we're not going to get nothing.
Hmm.
So
That's
we
the
have to be open minded to the process as well. But still, it is important to have a connection. You need to be comfortable with who you're sitting down in front of or looking at on the video screen,
hmm.
because that's the age we're in now, telehealth.
Yes.
You need to be comfortable with that person. Otherwise, you might not be as honest as you need to be to address the issues that you need to address.
Mm. Thank you for that. And now, since you said that, now being able to address the issues you need to address and some of the barriers that come up for me, which is starting to be a pet peeve of mine, is really getting on my nerves. But can you talk about the division between church and therapy?
You want me to talk about that?
Look, do I need to go get a bottle of Stella right quick? Because this, that just, it just irks me so much, because I hear so many times, especially in our lower social economic communities, the Black and Brown communities, the minority communities, people that don't have that access to the care, is, child, just pray about it. It's gonna be all right. Lord gonna bless you. You know, he
And
gonna
I
find
think
a
we
way.
should pray. We should
Yes.
absolutely. But I also believe we were given common. We were blessed with some common sense, and we were blessed with resources. And if we can access them, we should.
Hmm.
Um, I, we need, our belief system is a driving force for us. So this is not knocking anybody's belief. If that's what you believe and you think that that is the only help, and that help is coming, and if it, that's great. But if you feel like it's not enough, we get impatient. We don't want to wait on the Lord. Lord, you ain't working fast enough. Can you hurry up? Am I supposed to ask you to hurry? I don't know, but I need you to hurry up. I'm struggling. You know, then Uh, why do we don't question other occupations? Why
Right.
this one?
Right.
Why this one? So I can be religious and love Jesus and still see a therapist. And if you want spiritual counseling and guidance, or if you want a therapist that has a background in that, that is available.
It is. It is. Because you might come up in my office one day and you might get some word, some cussing at you, some, a little bit of everything. Ain't no telling. But it's so true. Like, it's just, well, the Lord didn't give me a mind of anxiety, fear. He gave me a sound mind. Okay, I'm gonna concentrate on that scripture, but I'm gonna go see Rachel because she's gonna help me, give me some earthly principles to live by.
I like
To,
that. What's
to
gonna work right now? What's gonna
right,
work tomorrow when I go to work?
right. Because all day I can be in spirit, yes. But right now I'm still an earthly being on this earth and I need something right now. And so yes, I'm not saying don't pray. I'm not saying that, God can't heal you, but I also do know that faith without works is dead. So you got to do something. You got to do something. You got to take a step because God waiting on you. He waiting on you to do something.
Sometimes that is the truth. He's like, let me see what you're gonna do first.
Right. Right. Look, he didn't say,
And then,
look, I didn't
and then
told
he
you
be, I
Rachel.
didn't want you to do that. I didn't want you to do that. Come on
Right.
back over here.
Right. And he'd be like, I didn't put you on this live right now to see that Rachel is out there, but you gonna stay at home. But I already done sent Rachel to you. I gave you access to Rachel. Hey, I didn't even made the rates cheap so Rachel can get so you can get a sliding scale fee or whatever. I made Rachel accessible to you. That's what God's saying. But you
So
like,
that takes me back to us being open. So let's be open with our religion too, with our spirituality as well. What if I'm on the he has blessed me and I can't see it?
oh yes, that's good.
Because
That's a word,
let's
girl.
be honest, sometimes we're looking for stuff to come a particular way. And he didn't say he was gonna give it to us our way.
Preach, sister. That's a whole word for real. That is because we man. Oh, that just hit me somewhere because that's the truth. We looking at yes, like oh, I wanted this big mansion in the sky. Now I'm stressed out and all this stuff. And but he gave you a house. He gave you a roof over your head. It's the one you got right now. Because also he says, be a good steward over those blessings that I've given you. So
Sometimes we gotta take good care of what we got to
yes.
get something better. And sometimes he might want to see that. Let me see what you're gonna do with this. What you gonna do with this before I give you something else.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that just made me think about something. It because the word also tells us that my body is the temple of Christ, right? And he dwells within me. So if that's the case, I need to take care of this. I need to take care of all of it. I need to take care of my whole body. And my mind, my brain is up in there. It's part of my body. So take care of it,
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our whole self. Whole. How do we take care of our whole self?
Whole,
And
whole
what the other thing we know, the physical and the mental play off of each other. If one ain't right, it can impact the other one. So we got to get it all together.
mind, body, and spirit. It's all, and you know what? In my comings and goings and my learnings, I've learned that so much of like psychology in itself is scriptural. It's just said a different kind of way, so it's not
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
spirit field or whatever, but it's a lot of it is based on that. Anthony said, "Y'all out here preaching, preaching." But let me go ahead and ask you something else because I'm hot for real. That stuff right there get me heated because I just think that so many people miss out on taking care of themselves
Yeah.
because they don't um sometimes we just listen to, I don't want to say the wrong people, but we listen to those people in our life that don't know any better either, that they're just as ignorant or something, that they don't know what's out there, they don't know the kind of help. And it's just like and sometimes we don't even know that we're experiencing stuff. We don't know that we have the mental illness. We don't know that
Ooh,
we've
ooh.
experienced trauma, because mama beat me, daddy beat me, and this just normal. And I may have been sexually molested as a child, but so was my mama and so was her grandmama. And then everybody just say, don't that's how he is, or something. And that just drive me crazy because it's a lot of religious people, you know. But
My
was
mama says, she said it a lot when I was growing up. You know better, do better. Well, now we can know better, so
yeah,
let's do better. I can understand if you just don't know anything and don't have access to knowing anything different. But
mhm,
when you do, let's take that into consideration and see can that apply to our life.
yeah, yeah. Because and I just want to put this out here. What is trauma? Trauma is a significant event in your life that has caused you emotional distress. It caused you to act have a emotional response to it. Okay, so I mean, something. If your parents got divorced, that could be a traumatic event for you. If your dog died when you was 5, I mean, for real, this happened to me. My dog died when I was 5. That was traumatic for me, and I was
Trauma is
scared.
very individualized.
Yeah, very individualized. It doesn't have to be something, severe that we always think. There's little traumas that add up, you know. But let me ask you this question, girl, because we'll be on here. When we got to close up soon. Let me see. What's the oldest person that you ever worked with? Like, do you remember their age?
I don't remember the exact age, but I had a elderly male client, probably late 70s. Um, I had a female client,
Was it the same one that I had?
70s.
Because she
Um,
was.
I'm sorry.
That one that you gave me, she was at about 70 something. She was
Um,
you had one, oh, a different one. Yeah.
um, yeah, so I would say 70s, 80s is probably the oldest I've
So
had.
see, it's never too late to get help.
Mm-mm.
So what about the youngest person?
The youngest client I had was 5.
I thought you worked with somebody. Well, why you was making us work with little people? Talking about we could work with somebody that was 3 or 4.
I mean, I do believe that sometimes 3 or 4 is
Yeah.
needed sometimes. But I think it was 4 or 5, the youngest client I worked with, and I distinctly remember um, him coming into services too. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it was 4 or 5 is probably the youngest.
Yeah, that's and people think, the when I saw the little boy that I saw, the woman, she had like a 2-year old that she brought with her. Then there was a 4-year old, and then I think they was like 7 and 9 or something. But the 2-year old, I wasn't really helping him. He was just climbing over the tables. But I just want to make this point that when you when you are going through something and your children are present, and when I'm saying when you're going through something, meaning you and your spouse or significant other, whoever in the house with you, y'all fussing and fighting, throwing shoes and bricks at each other, your kids see that and it can affect them. And so that's why I was seeing those children that I saw, is because their parents were fighting. And actually, it's reportable, that because it's like child endangerment if y'all are out there just fighting like that. But
Well, but and not only that, but your
yes.
mood, your if your family can pick up on your mood, then so can your kids. And some people think, well, they were too young, or they can still pick up on. A baby can pick up on tension.
Yes.
A baby can pick up on tension. So we have to stop thinking, well, they too young, they don't know what's going on. They might. They might not be able to put it to words. They might not be able to express it in an appropriate way, but they may. It doesn't mean that they're not impacted.
Hmm. Yeah. So we got 2 questions, Rachel. Let's do this one since we're talking about it right now. How would you know if a little one would need some therapy?
Oh, I mean, we just have to do an assessment to see. And when I say assessment, I don't mean like take a test. It's um, just certain questions we ask and behaviors we observe um, to kind of know. And we also need, especially the younger the child, we need a lot of information from the parent or the guardian. There's a
Yeah.
lot of questions we need to ask them because that's information that helps with that assessment. So it kind of depends on the situation.
And I would just if you I would encourage you that if you think a child needs some some therapy, if it comes across your mind, just take them and let them get the assessment.
I agree. It don't hurt to have a check in. Let me see. Let me
Oh,
see. If we had a physical issue and I didn't know what it was, I go see.
right.
I think we need to treat mental health the same way.
I'm glad you said that because we take our kids today well baby checkup, they well child checkups every year.
Check
Hell, I
up.
take my dog to the vet every year. So why wouldn't I take my child just to, you know,
I
uh,
tell people make that part of that is part of your physical. You
yes,
go get your lab work done. You go check in with your therapist. You might not have nothing going on. That is great. This my check in. See you next year. Or if something come up, or maybe it's some stuff bothering me that I didn't realize, or maybe I know exactly what's bothering me and I need to work through it. Get it. Let's do that. We need to treat this just like anything else that we would take care of,
yes.
and make it a priority.
And my mom, she's put in there, some children do act out. And that is
Yes.
very true. A lot of times children do act out because they don't exhibit like depression, anxiety type situations or symptoms the same way as adults. It doesn't always manifest the same way. And so sometimes children with anxiety, they have a lot of nausea, their stomach hurt, they don't want to go to school, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to go over somebody's house. Look into that stuff. Don't disregard it. So another question is, what made you two ladies want to be in mental health? Oh,
Uh,
I know what made me, but
I
you,
remember I had changed my major. I started out as a nursing major, um, and I started taking these. My bachelor's degree is health science. I don't even know if that degree, if they even still had it now. But the classes that fell under that were classes like death and dying, um, epidemiology. Um, I took a class on, I took a sociology class, and that really just kind of got me a little bit more interested. Also, when I was working at the clinic, I liked engaging with the patients prior to whatever, you know, procedure or medicine they was getting.
mhm.
And so that's what kind of shifted me.
And
What about you?
for me, I was doing my degree in health sciences. I didn't know that. So I was doing my degree in health sciences because I was already in health sciences as a lab tech in the army. And so since I didn't go to traditional like college, but I had to take a humanities class. Excuse me. And it happened to be psychology. And I was like, dang, this is my jam right here. I likes this. And so that's kind of, I just changed my major and started doing psychology. But also, once I started doing it, I realized like, man, we got problems.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, when I went to school, it was a long time ago, Lord Jesus. Um, the war was going on. And as a soldier, I was around a lot of people um, with PTSD, coming back and forth to war. And so that's what I did my research paper on, my final research paper and stuff. And it was like it was just so eye opening that, and then in the military, I was doing counseling, but not like ethical counseling. And it's so different than therapeutic counseling. I was talking to people about all kind of things from finances to trauma. And I just say thank you, Lord, that I ain't hurt somebody and tell them to do something wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like I looking back, that it was my calling. So as it was just like it was in me and it came so easy, and I did it before, unethically with untrained. And so then now I look back and I'm like, man, thank you. I ain't hurt nobody because I was telling people stuff that I didn't even know. So that's where I think is like the wisdom from the Lord, because I
Yeah.
didn't know what to tell people, but it was helping them. And it was just like, just my wisdom, I think. But yeah. And he said that counseling is funny in the army. It sure is. Cause that's where you get untrained people. That's how you know somebody ain't trained. They telling you some craziness. But I had some situations in the army, and people a lot of people in the army, they was leaving trauma to just jump into a different kind of trauma,
Another trauma.
you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, trying to get
And
away from something.
I think this is a good point to say, even as trained clinicians, we continue training and education and consultation because we don't know everything. Stuff still happens where we need to have a check in or make sure we're going down the right path in the right direction with somebody. And so that's where your consultations and supervision things come in. That's why you continue, you don't just get the minimum requirement of CEUs to get licensed every 2 years. You also got to do more, reading, whether it's a book or article, but also, going to a training, participating in a training with somebody else that can teach you a different skill, and you figure out how you can apply that and incorporate that into your work. That's part of what helps make you not just an ethical therapist, but a good one.
Hmm. I'm glad you said that, because we do need to have self-care, you know, as therapists. And some of us out there being unhealthy. Um, so, and when, I've said this before on here, but hurt people hurt people. So I can come to therapy. I just got done working with someone not too long ago that they were going through something, and all their clients going through the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting a divorce, so everybody I worked with ended up in divorce because I'm feeling some kind of way, so I'm projecting that stuff onto you now. And it's hurt people, and you can get sucked into that as far as being the client, because you're hurt. So you're hurting and somebody's listening to you, they're validating you, but they as therapists, we don't give advice, you know. And so somebody can be advising you, so, and you look at them as the professional, the expert, and so you follow what they're saying, but they out there. That's why it's so important what Rachel said, y'all, about making sure that you get a, how did you say it, a trained therapist, someone, because when they're trained and they know themselves, they know that they also need help too. And as therapists, we go. I do check-ins with another therapist
Mhm.
myself.
So earlier, when I was saying everybody needs to treat therapy like they do all the other healthcare stuff, that didn't exclude therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. We are included in that too. MFTs, that's everybody. That's just people. And so a therapist is a person. So we need to do that too. That's
Right.
part of what help keep. And stuff happens to us. So how do we make sure that I'm not bringing my stuff to my session?
Yes, and
I
that's what
gotta
I'm
have
talking about.
I have to have somebody that might need to check me on that, or I check in,
Mhm.
so that I can make sure I'm good, so I can come to work and be good.
Yeah, yeah. But I know we done been on here for an hour. Does anybody have any more questions? What you saying, Anthony? Oh, he said even the people I work with say that behavioral health is bad. That's a whole nother animal. Y'all, the military stuff is it's a whole nother subject. That'd be a whole nother topic for another day, Anthony. But does anybody else have any more questions? I know there's a little lag or delay, but um while we're waiting to see if there's any more questions, I want to ask you this, Rachel. Is there what is something that you do to be intentional each day?
I have quiet time every day. I have to have that, sometimes multiple times a day, but I have to settle myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for sure, I do it in the morning and in the evenings, but sometimes I have to do it in the middle of the day. So I have to have that time. I have to have a minute, and it don't take much. I mean, some people think, oh, I don't have 30 minutes. You don't need 30 minutes. Sometimes I might get 10. and I'm good with the 10. Now in the morning and at night I get more than that. But in the middle of the day I might have 10 minutes. But I might need that 10 minutes to just settle myself. Um, so I'm very intentional about that. Um, and some other stuff, we have a self-care talk one day and we can talk about all that. But I'm intentional about having some quiet time.
That'd be good. We could talk about self care. I'm look out. That mean you coming back?
Oh, did
Yes.
I say that? I'm just
But do you have any final words for the folks? Because I don't see any more questions. I think we try to answer everything. Again, if you have something that you want to get answered, I can
email
try.
one.
Huh?
Or I said email. What is this? What platform we on? What are we on?
Facebook.
Send her a message. That.
Look, I'm finna tell y'all, don't be sending me no message talking about you want to kill yourself, you want to kill somebody else, because I would delete this whole damn thing. Like I ain't never been on here.
GCal, GCal. Call GCal.
Yes,
That's
call.
24/7.
But they all these people ain't in Georgia. But yes,
Oh, that's
call
right.
911. Yeah, because when I'm
Well,
gonna
the
give
National
you
Suicide Hotline is everywhere. That's a
yes,
good option too.
that call
Do they
them.
have a chat feature now?
Yes, they do. They do have a chat feature. So if you don't want to talk, you can do chat features. Yeah, the National Suicide Hotline. Your local areas may like in Georgia, we have the Georgia Crisis and Access Line. So in your area, there may be something like that too, where people will they send mobile units out and they do the assessment to see if you need some inpatient, whatever type of situation you're in, they will help you and assist you.
And there's some specific things too. So, like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, if it's a domestic violence situation, RAIN, if it's sexual assault. Um,
Hmm.
there's a, oh, it's one for teens.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, the I know what you're talking about. That about the like the teens that are in domestic violence situations.
Yes, yes.
I can't think of what it's called either. But I'm telling y'all, Google is your friend. You can Google. I'm telling you, you can Google anything. I just Googled this morning a scripture about somebody not obeying God, and it gave me a whole bunch of. So I'm sure if you Google National Crisis Hotline is gonna give you the number. I mean, I can give it to you, but and I'll put some of those in the comments. I will put them on the page so you can come back to the page. Okay, I'll do that tomorrow actually or tonight. I will put some resources available in probably a resource tab or something on the page, but I'll put them on the page so you can get access to them. Okay, um, but
And NAMI is also all throughout the states.
right,
NAIMI.
NAMI,
MI. Sorry.
yeah. Um,
Okay. I
And it's
stopped
what
talking about
National Association for Mental
mental
Illness.
illness.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so NAMI. They have some really great resources too. So, but thank you all for joining tonight. Rachel, do you have any final words for the people?
Be healthy and be blessed. And thank y'all for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So that means you coming back though, because you said we could talk about self care another time. So another time is in the future, which means another episode with Rachel. So I'm gonna let y'all go because we've been on here. I told y'all ain't even remind me, but I did see some of y'all saying I appreciate you tonight. Bravo! So that's our wind down. That's our cue. So thank you so much, Rachel, for coming, and thank you all for being on. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for being open, honest, transparent, and vulnerable with us and with each other in the chat. So um don't forget to invite your friends, share this. We talk about some stuff that maybe it doesn't really resonate with you today, or maybe it doesn't fit your situation, but it may impact someone that you know. Okay. So please share. And I'm not doing it to
Message.
promote myself. I'm just saying I'm trying to bring awareness about different things, different aspects for people to be healthy, mind, body, and spirit. So
Yep.
please share. And if you want to be on an episode, come on. Come on. Just hit me up in the DMs. I like saying that. Hit me up in the DMs. But as always, I am here. It is now and I am alive, y'all. So be blessed, be safe, and have a great week. And I'll see y'all next week. I'm gonna have a very special guest. I ain't gonna tell y'all because it's after Mother's Day, but it's a very, very, very special guest. So stay tuned for that one. All right. I love you all. Good night.